The Against All Odds podcast, sponsored by Oak Forest Recovery. And welcome to the Against All Odds podcast. My name is RJ, and I'm here with co-host Rachel. And today we've got David Thomas, online fitness coach, sober dad.
Sober club.
Right. Sober
founder.
club, sober
Yeah.
dad, sober life.
Fuck yeah, man. I'm excited to hear your story.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited to tell it.
Where are you from?
Grateful for this platform. From Huntington Beach. So
you guys are both from Huntington Beach.
No, she's from Laguna.
Laguna. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Close enough.
We've got David's wife over here.
Yeah,
She just
yeah. You
filmed
guys
an
don't know.
episode.
Yeah,
These are going
She's
to be
in the back.
separate. So if you see us talking to the couch on either episode, we're talking to Shay or we're talking to David. So
I was good though. You didn't even know I was there. I was just in my own world. But yeah, so I'm from Huntington Beach. So I actually lived in Westminster. Shay loves to remind me of that I'm not from Huntington. I'm from Westminster. It's like it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been kind of taken over by like Vietnamese, and it's just like, which is just like a lot of more gang activity and just
Like Vietnamese gangs?
It's not. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
a lot of them. Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of gang activity. It's just more like ghetto than Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
But I grew up in Huntington Beach. My mom, my whole family, my grandpa came here when he was like 18 from Missouri and started working in the oil fields. And because that's all Huntington was, it was just all like the whole beach was just littered with oil derricks, you know, like that's why like the Huntington Beach Oilers, that's like the school's like mascot is like the Oilers. Not much of a mascot, I guess. Yeah. It's like a big drilling rig with oil coming out the top. You know what I mean? Like great mascot, guys. You know what I mean? Like you couldn't just pick an animal like everyone else.
But
But
an oil machine.
So exactly. So my grandpa came here and he started working the oil fields. And at a young age, and then somebody he was working for was like, hey, you know, like buy a vacuum truck and we'll put it to work, and then buy this and buy a crane and we'll put it to work. And so my grandpa just kind of built like this crazy, this big legacy for himself in Huntington Beach. You know, he ended up at one point, I think he owned the most land, like privately owned land other than the city at one point.
Wow.
He built multiple businesses. My family's in the oil and gas industry, and then he was in the crane and trucking industry. So my mom went to Huntington Beach High School. So us not being able to like afford to live in Huntington, we lived in Westminster because that was the house that my grandparents gave her.
Right.
But she wanted us to be raised in Huntington, so we went to schools in Huntington Beach. So
Got it.
Yeah, that's how.
Yeah.
I guess I'll introduce myself lived in Westminster, but grew up in Huntington Beach.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So walk us through early childhood and when you started going off the rails,
childhood.
man.
So my mom and dad met at my grandpa's company. So my dad started working for my grandpa as a crane operator, and that's how he met my mom. They had my brother. So I'm the second child out of four. So I have an older brother. You're the second child. Yeah, I know.
We were just talking about
I'm the only one that I'm the only one that lived this story you're about to hear. Trust me. You know what I mean? So I was the second child. My brother's 2 years older. Then there's myself, and then my little brother 2 years older. And then my dad finally got his little girl, which would have been 4 years younger than me. So we're all 2 years apart, all really close. But growing up, I had a good childhood. My dad was always there. He was always like really loud and like obnoxious. He was Syrian and Italian. So he had like a very deep voice. He was like 6'3", 250 pounds, just like built like a brick shit house, like just stocky, you know? And he was just very loud. He had like a very deep voice, and he was always at my games, like yelling. And slowly but surely, like when I was like 8 years old, I was probably like 6 years old at the time. He started using meth. So he was a crane operator as well. But
that's probably big in the field, right?
Well, it was just, he was on night shift, and like he had already partied. So like, I didn't know this, like, but when my mom and him met, like he was like doing coke and like was like doing like, you know what I mean? Kind of like running some stuff, middlemaning stuff for some money that I ended up finding this out later on. So he had already kind of messed around, but then, so he was, as far as I know, he was good. And then, he was on night shift, and one of his coworkers was like, hey man, like try this, bro, to help you stay up longer, you know? This is in the 90s. This was when like the meth was like
the real meth.
Crazy, you know? And so I slowly but surely saw my amazing dad like drift away, you know. And it just started with him moving out in the garage. You know, he moved out of the house and moved in the garage so he could sit out there and tweak all night and no one, you know what I mean, and kind of seclude himself from his family. And it got so bad, like where we'd be driving home and my mom, like we'd be taking bets on like who was going to be at the house, because we'd come home and there'd be like 5 tweakers at the house. Like he had cars in the front yard, the backyard, taking them apart, like just your typical like tweaker stuff, you know. He was like going to pick your part and like stealing parts and like throwing them over the fence and then going and picking them up at nighttime, stuff like that.
Did you know at the time what was going on, or you were just like, Dad's being weird?
No idea.
Dad's
Not,
being
it wasn't
weird.
even like Dad's being weird. It was just
like,
you know, you're just so,
you're just
so clueless as a kid. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like you're just growing up.
It was just like, you know, like, oh, I'm out in the garage working, like, cause he had door locks to where he could lock the garage, like lock you out of from the house going out to the garage, you know? So it was like, I didn't even, you know, I remembered after my mom kind of told me, but she would be like, I would sit there and my dad, like, if you saw a picture, you'd trip out. Like, I'm like a splitting image of my dad. And then also like personality wise too, we're very similar, you know? And it's crazy because like my brother didn't take my dad's name like I did, you know? And it's like so weird how that works out. And then of course, like I end up looking like exactly like him, you know? And I later on, like mom told me, she's like, dude, like I'd be knocking on like the door of the garage and I'll open it in a little bit, just, you know what I mean? And I'd end up falling asleep like on the stairs, like waiting for him, you know, just cause like I wanted to spend time with him. And then slowly, you know, then obviously, after so much time, my mom was like, dude, like you got to get out, you know? And he was waiting for that anyways, because it's like, you only
set me free.
Play almost. that game so long of like trying to like play both. House. Yeah. Right. You know, it's like he was never there. He was never around. It was just him out in the garage. And, so he moved out and he had spent so much time in the union as a crane operator, and like the union, like there's just so many crane companies, you can kind of bounce around wherever you want, you know? So whenever it came time to like him getting drug tested, you don't have to drug test because you're protected by the union. So like when a crane company wants a drug test, you could just refuse it and not go drug test, but
and then leave.
But they could just, they could just say, okay, well, you can't work here anymore. So you just go to a different company. And if you build up a good enough reputation, you just go bounce around and go wherever you want, you know?
Right.
And so he did that. He bounced around, ended up parking a trailer at one of the crane yards. And, you know, he had visitation at the time and he wasn't paying child support. So like my mom had 4 kids. He left her with 4 kids. Good thing she had the house. My grandparents owned the house, so she didn't have to pay rent, you know,
right.
But like trying to also with the union, like trying to attach his wages. So you got to go to the family court, and the family court, you have to tell him, oh, he's working at this company. Well, then
he moves companies.
Right.
You know what I mean? He gets his first paycheck and sees that money gone and he's like, gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and then also like he had so many relationships, like in the union, they would just be like, hey, is Dave working there? Nope, he's not working here, you know, cause he was so plugged in, you know?
Yeah.
And the stories, like being an addict, the stories that he would tell everyone else, it's like, it sucked because when I got in the union, it's like I have all these people that are like, oh, your dad was such a great guy. I'm like, yeah, to fucking you. You know what I mean? Like, must be nice. Like, I didn't have a dad. You know what I mean? Like, glad he was a great friend. And I kind of ended up like, I had a lot of resentments when I first got in the union, and I still like I hadn't been saved. And so like I didn't have Jesus in my life. And so like I wasn't forgiving. Like when I got in the union, I was ready to fight people over like my dad, you know, and the stupid comments. And then finally, like I was able to let that go over time and just kind of take it for what it was. Like, okay, like maybe he was a good friend, but he was a shitty dad. You know what I mean? So he back to childhood, he was parking his trailer at like one of the crane companies. This is kind of like the final shot for my mom. He just had visitation at the time. And she came to pick us up one time, and my older brother and I were driving around like big semis, like tractor, like 18-wheel tractors driving around. And my little brother at the time was probably 10 years old with my 8-year-old sister. And they were driving around in a stick shift Ford Ranger from the company that we worked for, just like driving around the yard. And my dad's passed out in the trailer, like out cold. And my mom pulls in to pick us up from the yard. And like, we're just doing hot laps around the yard. And she's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, and that was like the final straw of like losing like my dad. Like I didn't see him anymore. That was like, she was like trying to like not take him from us to not like damage us, you know?
Right.
Listen, nobody wakes up one day and thinks, you know what'll be fun? Going to rehab. But sometimes life gets messy, and the bravest thing that you can do is admit that you need a reset.
At Oak Forest Recovery, we're not here to judge. We've been there. We know what it's like. We've been scared. We've been alone, using comedy and jokes to cover it all up. The good news is you don't have to do it alone. We have the tools, we've got the community, and we even have good coffee.
If you or someone you love is struggling, come see us. Healing doesn't have to be boring. It can even be fun, and we're here to help.
And so, yeah, I was like 10, my little brother is 8, around there, you know what I mean? Just young. And dude, so that was like pretty much it for my dad. And he never got sober for us, never came back for us, you know? And my mom, we were all very active. My brothers and sisters and I, we all played sports. Like we all did junior lifeguards in the summer from 8 years old all the way up until 16. We all played football, baseball, soccer, like whatever was in season, you know, until we got to like that age where you kind of had to choose, because it's like, okay, so she had 4 kids. Like my mom, I just always remember her being like, yeah, I'll be right there. And then like 45 minutes later, she'd be pulling up because she was trying to be in 4 places at once. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dropping kids off at like my sister's playing softball, and she's just like trying to like manage everybody, you know? And not to mention, she's like, in order to pay for our sports, because she like she's a stay-at-home mom. She's trying to take care of 4 kids because she couldn't afford babysitter or anything. You know what I mean? And it's like the jobs that she had no college education, like, so it was like for her, like the little things that she could do, she was like working bingo at Huntington High School to pay for sports. And then she was going and she was working nighttime at Fountain Valley Hospital, at a hospital, taking pictures of babies. Like she was doing everything that she could, like while we were sleeping. Like she was out all night, then she would come home and like get a couple hours of sleep. Then it's like, okay, back to school, you know, trying to juggle around 4 kids, you know? And I would have never really knew a difference, you know? And I know she was probably getting quite a bit of help from I've never like really asked her like from my grandparents, but my grandparents always kind of looked at her as the outcast because everyone worked for the family company except for her. Like she chose to be a stay-at-home mom. All my uncles, my aunts worked in the office. Like every single one of his kids contributed to the family company except for her. So it was always kind of like, I know that she was always kind of like looked as like an outcast, where they all got paid a salary, even if they took 6 months. Like my uncles were lazy as they would take 6 months off out of the year, but they would still make 250, 300 grand. You know what I mean? And then like to the end, they were making like $500,000 a year just to like be at work for half the year, you know, where her, it's like she would have to ask them for money. She'd have to like go beg for money. And like my family is like really wealthy. Like I said, at one point they owned like the most land in Huntington other than the city, you know, and that was just all from my grandpa's like hard work, you know, and just acquiring it like a good time, you know? And so she always had to like ask for money, you know, and I know that she was probably getting some help, but she was trying to juggle around, you know? And yeah, I was grew up, man, I was a good kid. I loved doing homework, loved reading. In like 6th and 7th grade, I was in the honors program, or 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, but 8th grade was like my 7th grade year was like pretty much the last year that I took serious, like of being like, you know what I mean? 8th grade, started hitting puberty, started screwing around in school. 7th grade was the first time, like 12 years old was the first time that I smoked weed. I had my best friend that I grew up with in Huntington that I'd known since I was 3 years old. And he moved out to Corona, and I went out to visit him one time. And Corona's like the Inland Empire, also ghetto, kind of like Westminster. It's like, you know, but went out to visit him, and he's hanging out with friends. Like he's hanging out with friends, and like I said, like it's just like very different upbringing out there. It was like dirt bikes, and we're out one night, and he's like, "Oh, like, dude, you want to smoke weed?" And I was like, "Sure." You know, like I had you weren't nervous no real at all. Idea what. No, I just couldn't say no. Yeah. Like I never wanted to be that lame that was like no. You know, like I was always scared. Like I just wanted to like fit in, and I got made fun of a lot in middle school because I was so tall. I grew like by 6th grade, I had like a size 10 shoe, and like I was like almost 6 foot, probably by like 6th, 7th grade. So I was like really tall, but I liked to hang out with all the skaters. And the skaters always made fun of me. They called me like an oaf and and it made me like really insecure of like my height, you know, not knowing like later on that was going to be invasive.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
You know what I mean?
But when you're a little kid, and
dude, I just wanted to fit in. Yeah, I was like everyone was like, you know, so much shorter than me. And you know, getting made fun of because I'm like tall and lanky, you know. And so I just like had those insecurities. So I just never like wanted to be that square, that lame, to be like, no, I won't do it. So I would just do it, you know? And so I smoked weed for the first time. And then, you know, I'd go out to see him like every couple of weeks, and like he'd like give me a little bit or something, I'd bring it back. And then I kind of corrupted a couple kids, you know. It was like, oh, like, you want to try this, you know? And like that time.
Did you like it? Or was it just like kind of like
I think I liked the idea of doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing, more or less, because like I never really liked getting high. Like I didn't like smoking weed. You know. But it was just like one of those things. Like I just kind of enjoyed like the malicious activity,
the camaraderie around it. Like getting together with the boys and getting some weed and getting high and
you know. But I didn't know where to get it. None of the kids like at my school that I hung out with in middle school like did it, or like I said, I was able to like corrupt a couple of kids and get them. But at the time, it's like, you know, I was like trying to mimic what they were doing. Like they had bongs and stuff. I was like, okay, maybe I could smoke out of a can. And like, you weren't even like really, you know, I wasn't like rolling joints or anything. I was trying to do like, you know, whatever I could. So that was like 12 years old. And then, 13 years old, I had my first drink, and I drank with one of my buddies at his house. His parents went out one night, and his parents had quite a bit of money. They were pretty well off, lived in Huntington, and his parents went out, and they had like all their liquor cabinets locked, but it was like a 4 combo. So he would start at all 0s, and I'd start at all 9s. And we dude, it would only
figure it out.
Surprisingly, dude, it'd take like 3 to 5 minutes. Like that's it. You know what I mean? You just burn through the codes, and like you actually go through them pretty fast. It was never a very long process. So got in his liquor cabinet. We drank dry gin, tequila, vodka. We had no idea what we were doing. I didn't know like anything about alcohol. Like I was like very like sheltered. It was just like sports, and like my mom didn't drink, so there's never any alcohol in our house. I was never like around partying because like my mom didn't have like a social life. Right. You know, like my uncles would drink beer, but it was never like glorified to me, like of like, you know, so I didn't know anything about it. So we drank like everything, dude. And I just remember like shot. Woke up in the morning, and he had his second story. Like he had a room that was like an arcade room. He had pinball machines, like pool table. There was puke everywhere. Dude, I'm not even kidding. Like pinball machines, pool table, like dude. And I just like remember waking up like, oh my, blacked out. No idea. Dude, no idea who threw up where, nothing. We had no idea what happened, you know, because we just drank everything. We're like 13. It's both of our first time. And I'm like, shit, my mom pulled up to pick me up. His mom covered for me, and like, oh really? I didn't even go downstairs to talk to her, dude. And she came up and she's like, get to work. And we're like, fuck, like, where do we even start? You know? That was my like first experience drinking, you know, and I wasn't a huge fan. I didn't like the taste. I didn't like, and especially like that was my introduction to it. I was like, fuck this, dude. Like, I don't want to do that, you know? Come high school. So I make it through 8th grade, still like doing good, doing sports, swimming, get into high school. And, was high school, my freshman year. I was just kind of getting a feel for it. So like a lot of the kids, so I went to school at the bottom at like a different end of Huntington, and like Huntington High School, like all the kids kind of migrated from one school to Huntington, and it was kind of like almost like a melting pot, you know? So came into a lot of people that I had known like their reputation, but I didn't know them very well.
I've got to meet clients that have come, you know, through finding Old Forest through my platform. And I think that's been one of the most special things. And then seeing them, I've seen people come in the beginning, and then I've seen them, you know, at Bonfire or after, and seeing like the light come back in their eyes and what a great experience they're having, and this new, you know, community that they have now that could last for the rest of their lives and has set them up like for a successful recovery. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things.
And so I was like, once again, like trying to like make a reputation for myself. Like I didn't want to be a square. I didn't want to be a lame. I had met a lot of kids from Dwyer through my cousin. That's where I like met my best friends. So coming into Huntington, like I just wanted to like fit in. I wanted to like be a cool kid. I like didn't want to be a lame again, you know? And I just, one day I was in photo class, and some chick was like, hey, like, do you want to do a line with me? And I was like, sure. And she was like hot, and she had like a reputation at the school. Like her parents are like really well off, and they lived like right behind the school in this gated community. Like you walk to her house from Huntington, like, and she almost lived like on campus, you know? And I just wanted to like fit in. I was like, sure, dude. So I went in there, and we went in the photo booth in like the black room or whatever, and did a line. I had no idea. I just knew they burnt the shit out of my nose. It was meth. No idea what I did, but I was like, oh my gosh, dude, I never, you know what I mean? No idea. Like, and I was like, didn't even know what it was. I was like, oh, dude,
oh my God, dude.
Whack, dude. And I'm like, immediately was like drawing like, dude, just, like drawing like the weird, like the ghost shit, and like, you know, just the stupid stuff, but like locked in, and got stuck on that for like 2 weeks. And then my best friend is in 8th grade. I was in a freshman at the time, but his older brother was a year older than me. And he was kind of like looking out for us. And his older brother and like all of his friends were like, they wanted to like beat me up because I was a tweaker. I was like, you know, and they're like, dude, you know, and so I got wind that I was going to get jumped because I was a tweaker now. And they're like, dude, and I was like, hey, like, I don't want to do this. Like, oh, okay, we'll try this instead. And they got me snorting coke.
Okay.
So that's how I got. So I went.
So they were pissed that you were doing meth. They were pissed that you were doing meth.
Coke was better.
So they were like, here, cocaine. So there was like a cocaine gang and a meth gang. That's
yeah.
There was a rival. There was
not
just
so
like
much a rival.
No,
they were just
being a
against
tweaker.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They looked at low class. Meth was low class. Cocaine. Luxury. Okay,
I guess so.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't know what their whole.
What about this chick?
The whole
dude,
point of it.
Comes in,
she was just
has a
dude.
bag
She was
of
wild.
meth,
So
like,
she was wild, dude, and she was she's just horrible, dude. She grew up like I said, like
and
lots
this is
of money.
freshman year.
Yeah,
bro, that's crazy.
Yeah, she was not good, dude. She, you know what I mean? Like she's just one of those like girls like just had a bad reputation, everything, you know, sexually and stuff.
Yeah.
Like she just wasn't a good person. Like we didn't have like an intimate relationship or anything. She was just like do some meth. She was like, she would do the line.
Do some meth.
Tell me, like, you know what I mean?
Crazy.
And I probably wouldn't have even said no if she would have told me it was meth.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I legit, like I just never would say no through my whole addiction, like through my whole life. Like
so interesting. It's usually, I feel like people do coke first.
Yeah.
And then you do meth later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that's kind of like the
freshman
order
in
that
high
you like
school, and
she
just breaks out meth like in class.
Dude.
It's crazy.
Yeah. She was wild, man. But like Huntington was kind of wild like that, you know, like
It
during
sounds
that
like
time,
it.
during that time, like meth and like, it was like really big, you know? And, so then I got on that whole like cocaine thing, you know, and like was snorting it. Then I was going around to like Macy's, and at the time, like designer jeans were the shit, you know, like 7 jeans.
Oh yeah.
That time, you know, like 7s and Diesel. So I was going around to Macy's, and like Macy's
Ripping
just
jeans.
popped the tags off, you know? So I was going around like a size 36, and I'd put like a 26, 28, 30, 32, 30, layering them and walking out, you know? And I was selling like jeans to like support my like cocaine addiction at Huntington, you know, being a freshman, sophomore, Like that was like what I was doing to like get money. I didn't have a job obviously, you know, but I was just selling like jeans for $40 a pop, you know. Got busted from Macy's twice stealing jeans. It was just like a whatever, those just from like loss prevention. They just call your parents, come pick you up, you know, like, hey, don't like let us see you around there anymore, you know. It wasn't like anything crazy. But yeah, so then just kind of like I always like substituted through high school. Like I was always substituting one drug for another, you know, and it's like that's like when got introduced to Xanax, and then I went from Coke and then started hanging out with this other crowd like sophomore year, and then it's like I started smoking meth. Like it was like became big with like the girls of like, you know, like dancers, and it was just like how they stayed skinny. So like a lot of people started smoking meth. So then I got doing that, and like everything I did, I just always took it to like the next level. Like I hated sleeping. So like, dude, I would just go until I couldn't go anymore. You know what I mean? Until like it was just so noticeable to where it's like, okay, dude, like you got to get your shit together. I get my shit together for a little bit, and then it's just like boom, right back to it, you know?
Does your mom know what's going on at this point?
My mom was very oblivious.
Okay.
So I was like I was the black sheep. So I was the only one out of the four of us that like got that addictive personality. My brother was he went to Huntington too at the same time. He was 2 years older than me, but he played baseball, like didn't even drink. Like he was always driving. He didn't drink, like he had no desire to. And then my little brother and sister were just so young, they were still in middle school. So like my mom like had her hands full. So she couldn't like deal with it, you know? And it's like I got my first tattoo when I was 14. I got my first tattoo my freshman year. I had a buddy at school, the same ones, like the same like family. It's actually like my brother-in-law now. His brother was like tattooing. They're like really like bit like the gangsters of like Huntington, like selling weed and stuff. And he's like, oh, my brother tattoos. Like, so I got a tattoo my freshman year. I got my last name tattooed on the back of my arm.
It was always the last name in those days. That was like the first go-to.
Well, dude, and then it's like, guys. Oh, like my mom won't even be mad. It's like my last name. You know what I mean? She's like, dude, like she's like, I could get arrested for child abuse for letting you do that. You know what I mean? She didn't let me, but And then it's like, I just like didn't stop. I got tattooed like really young, you know? And it's like my mom, but the point of that is just like, she didn't really have control of me because she had no help. And she didn't have the money, she didn't have the means, and she had 3 other kids. So it's like she tried her best. Like she was never like, she wasn't like in any sense like an enabler. But it was like she just did what she could. But she also was very dumb. Like our parents are not as intuitive like as my wife and or even as we are now. And obviously like technology helps out too. Like with our kids, it's like so easy to like track them and stuff. Like my mom like had no idea what I was doing, no idea where I was at, you know, they couldn't track us. So it's like a total different time, you know? But, and my mom has no sense of smell. She never has my whole life. So it made it really easy for me. Like, dude, 'cause I mean, I started smoking cigarettes at 14. Like,
and she couldn't smell.
Dude, so like, dude, I'd be at
Did
my
you know
house.
that? Did you always know that?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. It was like a known thing. Well, yeah. I mean, hey, mom,
sense of
smell
smell.
this. Like, oh, I can't smell, you know, like even to this day, it's like so funny, you know?
Yeah.
No sense of smell. So like, dude, I would just be like, through like high school, I'm just sitting there smoking weed, smoking cigarettes
And
in
she
my room.
has no idea.
Coming down, and I just like fan
Get the
out. My
smoke
friends
out.
are like, bro, she's gonna know. And they'd be like,
no, she can't
you're
fucking
good. She'd
smell.
walk in and be like, oh, like we guys here. Oh, we're just hanging out, you know?
Yeah,
okay. Shut the door.
And it
Like, dude,
reeks.
how did she not smell? I'm like, dude, she can't smell. But I would never tell them, you know? I'm like, we're busted, dude. Watch.
What?
We're screwed, you know? No, and so like she had like no sense of smell, and she's just like oblivious, dude, you know? And like she knew that like I was kind of going down a wrong path. Like she could tell by my friends, you know, like show me your friends, I'll show you your future. Like she knew that the kids I was hanging out with like weren't good, you know, like I was hanging out with like the gangsters of Huntington, you know, like the ones like through high school, like our life was going out, like going to high school parties, like dude, going to parties where we're not supposed to be, where people didn't want us, fighting, taking their kegs, beating up their parents. Like, dude, we were lame. You know what I mean? And like, but at the time, like I thought that was cool. Like I had no dad from the time I was like 6 years old. So my idea was of a man was like somebody who was feared. That's what I thought like a man was like, oh, like be feared, be gangster, be tough, be hard. Like I thought that was like a man. And it like come to find out now, like that's the farthest fucking thing from it. You know what I mean? There's nothing cool about that. And, but like, I didn't know any better.
What caused you to choose to become a part of the Oak Forest team?
The first time he came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my family. These are my best friends now. And I immediately felt very drawn to the Oak Forest community. I think it's really beautiful, from just the bonfire meeting and people not even necessarily needing to go through Oak Forest to go to that. And then also knowing that they have this safe community, or if someone needs help, they can go through this program that has changed so many lives. I love that it's like a family and tribe, like you call it. From seeing how many people have gone through there and then decide to work at Oak Forest and help others and want to stay in that community because they love it so much, I think that's truly something I haven't seen anywhere else.
I didn't like my idol at the time was like what is like my older brother. And he was like, at the time, he was like a skinhead around Huntington. He was a tweaker. Like he always rolled around with like badass trucks, like lifted, like off-road trucks, but like hot girls. Like he's like smoked meth. He had like, you know, like designer jeans, ripped shirts, like just like I was like, oh, like that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to like roll around with hot chicks. I wanted that life. So I followed that lead, you know what I mean? Like I was like, okay, well, what do I need to do to get that life? Okay, well, he does drugs, so I'll do drugs. You know what I mean? And I didn't have like an idol. I didn't have a man in my life to show me. My mom never dated. She never brought another man into my life. I didn't have a stepdad. She never even had a boyfriend when I was up until I was like in high school, you know. And then my little sister didn't even let that happen. Whenever she'd try and get a boyfriend, my sister like push him out, you know, like wouldn't let it happen. So she just never dated. So I had no role model in my life, you know what I mean? Like no male figure to teach me like how to be a man and like how to treat women or how to, you know what I mean? How to do anything of that sort. So I just kind of like figured it out on my own, you know, and following the lead of like the knuckleheads in front of me, you know, and I wasn't hanging out with good people. So my whole high school was just like going around to like parties and just like fighting. And like, I thought that was cool. I thought that building up a reputation of being a badass was like what was going to get me through life, you know? And so all through high school was just drinking, you know, fighting. And at, you know, at my junior year, I think it was the first semester of my junior year, or maybe sophomore year, one of the two. But I got in a fight at school. Some kids stole my glasses, got in a fight with them. And the principal's like, dude, like you can either leave on your own or you're going to go to Valley Vista, which is like the continuation school. And I'm like, oh, I left on my own. Like an alternative
high school?
Left on my own. And yeah, I went to like adult school. So adult school, like you only go to school one day a week. And my mom was like, I was 16.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh, like you can start working and just go to school once a week, you know? So I started running parts for my grandpa. Started working out in the oil fields, running parts for my grandpa, and still just living that life, just like partying, like hanging out with my friends. And a lot of them like were dropouts anyways, you know? So running parts for my grandpa. And at 18 years old, I got my crane operator certs, and I was like, oh, okay. Like this is what's going to like make me a man, you know, like got my class A driver's license, got my crane operator certs, and was going to become a crane operator. And my addiction didn't like really let that happen. You know, I was just always battling like in and out of like getting sober, getting strung out, you know?
So you wanted to get, like it was affecting you enough that you were like, I think I should probably try to fix this.
Yeah. I would say my first time, like really like knowing that I was an addict was like 20 years old. That's when I got introduced to like shooting up. So I was like, dude, I was from like 18 to 20, like it was just like the same stuff, just drinking Xanax, like Coke. And
like partying,
yeah,
normal partying.
And then I kind of got into like, that was like the time I kind of got into like smoking crack. And I was up in LA with a girlfriend of mine. We were looking at apartments, and I had a buddy that was staying at a hotel up there, and I brought him some crack because I owed him money. And I walked in the hotel, and they were like, hey, do you want to like do a shot? I'm like, do a shot? And they're like, yeah, sit down. And they like yanked this cord out of the wall and like tied up my arm. And that's when I got my first shot of meth. And I absolutely loved it.
Yeah,
you know what I
sure.
mean? It was like, it made me feel invincible. I could talk shit to whoever I wanted. I had not a care in the world, you know? And like, once I did that, there was no going back to like smoking it or doing it any other way, you know?
Right.
I didn't want to do coke. I didn't want to do anything. It was just, it was strictly like the meth, you know?
Shoot meth, yeah.
But once again, it was just my life would get so unmanageable. Like I stopped showing up to work. I was working for my family still, stopped showing up for work. Dude,
are they realizing now, like your family, are they realizing that like maybe something's up or not really?
Yeah, my mom did, because I had asked her for help, and I was like, hey, I need to get help. But I worked for my family. So she was like, oh, well, if you're not really that bad, or if you really want it, you would just do it on your own, was like her thing, you know, because in order for me to get sober and go to rehab, she would have had to ask my grandparents for help. And then it would have it would have shined the light on this thing of like, like I'm not doing good, you know? So I had brought it up, and she completely like shut it down, you know? There was like one time I was in LA, like it was like so bad, you know? It was like when GHB, like date rape, was like really big, you know? And I was getting ready to go to work, and I did a big old shot of meth and like grabbed a Gatorade bottle and just started chugging it.
Oh, there's a bunch of GHB.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. And I woke up like with my pants down, like naked, like with a bag of like frozen peas on me. Cause like this chick like didn't know what to do. She was like, dude, like he's dying, you know? And she was on the phone with someone else, and that's what they told her to do, you know?
Yeah.
Missed like work, you know, like it was just like bad, you know? And at the time, you know, that same time of like shooting up meth and stuff, like is when I was hanging out with like a bunch of like really like shady people. Like they were like, that's when like the skinheads were big in Huntington, and that's who I was like kind of trying to be like, were the skinheads. So everyone was going around to like storage units at the time, and I was like, oh, like they wanted like a torch, you know? And I'm like, oh, my grandpa's got them at our yard, you know, like we can go to my grandpa's yard and get a torch, and we can go around and cut locks off storage units, you know? So we broke into my grandpa's yard, and for me, it was like a cry for help.
Yeah.
So like I knew that we had cameras.
Yeah.
I worked there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we rolled in my company pickup truck from my grandpa. You know what I mean? It's like, and we rolled in there, and what was a simple like, hey, we're gonna go in for a torch. Well, I just unleashed like 6 gangsters in my grandpa's yard they would have killed me. They didn't care about me. You know what I mean? Like nobody at the time cared about me. Like they wanted to use me for what I brought to the table, you know? So what turned into like, hey, we're going to go to a torch. Like we ended up robbing my grandpa for like $50,000 worth of like tools and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then we ended up breaking into like some dude had a storage unit there that worked for my grandpa. And we ended up breaking into his personal, like he was in between houses. And he like moved from a house in Texas to an apartment. And so we had like
all this
dirt
stuff,
bikes. And so we broke into there and stole his personal stuff. And that was like my cry for help, because I like legit knew. And I'd been up for like 5 or 6 days. I was so fucked up. I woke up. I can't remember where I passed out, but I passed out somewhere, and I woke up, and there was like 100 missed calls, and it was just like family, my mom, my uncles, like everybody.
So now they know.
Like,
they're like,
yeah. They came in, and there's like, dude, there was just like all this stuff going, you know?
And how old are you at the time?
I was 20.
20. Okay.
Yeah. So, and that was like, okay, you know, obviously they were like, I just told my mom, like, dude, like I told you I needed help. You know what I mean? Like I just, so it was like, I had to go. I didn't get rid of anything. I didn't sell anything. I went and just like, it was in my buddy's garage, and I'd go like truckload after truckload, and like, dude, the walk of shame, like dropping
everything back,
dude, and my uncle.
Oh my God, dude.
Yeah.
How did they react? What was their reaction? Like your grandpa and your uncle?
Just fucking shocked and
yeah. Disappointed. Like it was just, Dude, that was bad. It dropped off my uncle. My grandpa wasn't there.
Okay.
But like, that's when they finally like offered to help me. But so I tried to go to a detox. I went to Laguna Beach Hospital for detox, and, or Mission Hospital in Laguna Beach. And they were like, at the time, like, they didn't have like a lot of residential treatment centers like how they do now, like you went to like a hospital. So
Yeah.
I showed up to the hospital and they were like, oh, my insurance denied me. They're like, no, you're not screwed up enough yet. You got to come back.
In your experience with treatment, how special is Oak Forest?
Oak Forest is very special. I've had my fair share of treatment experiences. I've even worked in treatment myself. And Oak Forest is like something I've never really experienced before. And I think that it's almost something that like cannot be replicated anywhere else, at least from what I've seen, right? And so it's just like this community and the love and the support that goes from the beginning of the process, and not even just with the clients, with the families, with everything else. Like everything that I have seen goes above and beyond. And like beyond, even as like all of these people are being employed long after they have completed treatment, right? And I think that right there says everything.
So it was like, they expect you to go get strung out and come back, get strung out and come back. So they denied me, so crazy. Went back out, dude, went back out on the streets, and, it was like, okay, so I went to, or that's what it was. So I went to sober living. So my mom was like, okay, so went to sober living and Laguna, and I stayed there for 60 days. So I got 60 days sober. And then I was like, oh, like I'm good, went back out and just went back to the same stuff. Started hanging out with the same people again. Ended up in LA. We're sitting there in LA. And at the time, like I'd started using, my dad came back in my life, and I started using like with my dad. My dad hit me up and was like, hey, like, can you get me something,
Wow.
I'm going through a hard time. He lived in Huntington. He's like, oh, the holidays are really hard for me. Like, can you get me something? I was like, oh, like the neighbor in the back can, and he got a connect, and then he went and he's like, do you want to come with me? I was like, sure. Went got it with him, and then ended up smoking meth with him. So he always knew like where his secret stash was at home. That was like our bonding when I was like 20, was like, he's like, oh, like, like I was getting high with him. That was like our time together. So I ended up at a hotel one night, and somebody broke the meth pipe, and they're like, hey, like, I'm like, oh, I can go to my dad's house. I'm like downtown LA at the Standard Hotel, like downtown LA. And they're like, I'm like, oh, I can go to my dad's house and get one because there's no smoke shops. They're like, okay, yeah, go, So they called me a cab and gave me 2 ecstasy pills and threw me in a cab, dude. And I took a cab, and I just hopped in the cab, and I'm like, they're like, oh, cab driver's like, where do you want to go? I'm like, oh, downtown Huntington. And he's like, all right. I was just thinking like, oh, as we got closer, like I'd refine the address. You know what I mean? Like I'll tell you where to go, like I just told him downtown Huntington. Well, the ecstasy was laced with like a downer, like opiate of some sort. So it just knocked me out cold.
Shit.
So I took, So it was like, dude, I was like out. Woke up to HBPD, like I'm on PCH. And at the time it was like raw sushi, and I'm getting like drug out of the cab by police officers. They already found the meth in my pocket that I had because they gave me a bag of meth. They're like, hey, go give this to your dad and take his meth pipe. So it's like, hey, like, let's do this, you know what I mean? Like, so they found the bag of meth. So I got my first possession of meth when I was like 20, So I got PC 1000, which was like a state drug program. You know what I mean? Didn't even make it to my first, like the whole like process of like getting in. Like I didn't even make it like the month to like even go to my first meeting or first class or anything.
Right.
Got busted again and got Prop 36. I got busted. I was driving around Huntington, and I got pulled over, and I got busted. Like they found coke in my car. So I got my second possession ticket. And at the time those are felonies, you know what I mean? So then I got Prop 36. That was like the next drug program,
Yeah.
And so I'm on probation, same thing, never even make it to one of my classes. I'm going to see my PO, and I was like sober for like 60 days sober or so. getting a fight with my girlfriend. And the day before I'm supposed to go see my PO, dude, I hit up some dude that I met in jail and just like, and went to his house and got high and did a big shot of meth and was like, fuck, I got to go see my PO tomorrow. You know what I mean? So the next day I went to the smoke shop, grabbed like one
Fake
of those,
urine.
no, one of the Wizinators. So like the fake dick, the whole thing. Right. And I'm like, dude, I got this, bro. Like for sure, you know, see my PO, she's a female. And she's like, okay, go sit out there and wait to get a drug test. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm sitting in the waiting room. Guy comes in to drug test me and I go in, piss, and then turn around. And he's like, give it to me. I'm like, give you what?
No.
Oh yeah. I was like, give you what? He's like, bro, like I've seen your dick before. And he like looks down. He's like, dude, what the fuck? And I have a big wet spot. I left the nozzle on, dude.
Oh no.
Left the nozzle on. So I'm like, dude, huge wet spot, like synthetic urine.
Yeah.
Damn.
Dude, you know, that was that. Dude. So my PO's like, dude, you're in a drug program. She's like, why didn't you just tell me? She's like, you would have been fine. Like I would have just like given you a warning, like told you to get clean.
God.
Like, yeah, you know, like she's like, dude, my PO was so cool. She was like, come on, dude, you know? And I was like, shit, dude, you know? So here I am going to jail. So I had to do 90 days, but I did 60 out of 90. Did 2 months in county jail first time. And I just like, always like remember being there. I was just like, I didn't feel like I fit in at jail. Like I always put on this front, like even through high school, like hanging out with like the gangsters and doing gangster stuff. Like at the core, it was never who I was.
Right.
I didn't like it. I wasn't even like when I was hanging out with the skinheads, like I wasn't a skinhead. I wasn't racist. Like I didn't hate black people. I didn't hate anybody. Like I love people. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't who I was. It was just, I didn't know who I was. And I was just like, I was just doing whatever I could to fit in. So I'd act like whoever I had to just to like fit in with whoever I was hanging out at the time, you know? And so I just remember being in jail, like, dude, like I do not belong here. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and so I got out and stayed, didn't get sober, but I got out of jail and was like doing good for a month, literally 30 days on the dot. 4th of July happens and I go out for 4th of July, running around Huntington. I start drinking early on at a buddy's house, getting a fight with my girlfriend. We all split ways. Like we're all one big group and I caused so much bullshit like that. Like the guys and girls didn't even hang out all day. Like I made like my friends pick sides and I was like, dude, split everyone up, you know? It's just like such a knucklehead dude, you know? And we end up running into him at one point and, this girl stands up to me and she's like in my face, like yelling at me. And I'm just like, you know, like, fuck you, bitch. And she just boom, open hand slaps the shit out of me. And it's a big girl, dude. Like she was stalking. She rode horses, dude.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
Open hand slap, dude. My glasses went flying, dude, like rattled my brain. And like my first like reaction was like grab her and like push her like by the neck. Didn't choke her. Didn't like, it was just like, whoa, like get the fuck away. You know, she like stumbled back, hit a car and like sat on the hood of a car, caused like a big ordeal. She's like, nobody's going to stand up for me. You know? I'm like, I'm walking away. I was like, in first I like call everyone out. I'm drunk. I'm like, yeah, who wants to stand up? Like, let's fucking go. Anyone right now. Nobody stands up. I'm like, cool. So I start walking away and I just hear like pitter patter. I'm like, turn around and it's like somebody was like running up on me. Boom, hit him. Ends up being like, now he's my brother-in-law. But like, boom, knock him out. He falls down and like, okay, so I storm off, like whatever, go about my day, end up getting arrested. Like, dude, I mean, all of HBPD. So she told them where I'd be hanging out at. She knew like where I was at because it was my girlfriend's like best friend. So like we're all the same friend group, you know? Yeah. Dude, I'm on the balcony and HBPD rolls up and they just like guns drawn, dude, red dots everywhere, like light up the whole balcony. Way. Dude, light up the whole balcony. Well, dude, she told me that I choked her out and slammed her on a car and like, dude, so I'm like getting arrested for assault with a deadly weapon. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like she exaggerated the story. Like she made up this crazy story and like act like I was some gangster, like some criminal, you know what I mean? So they rolled up like hot, dude. I mean, just guns drawn, red lights everywhere, like lit up the whole place, you know? And so I got arrested again and, I go to jail and that time I'm fighting it, obviously, you know. I'm like, dude, it's like a friend. Like, it didn't even happen like this. Like, she has to stand up for me, you know. I'm like fighting this case, and like my attorney, I remember being in like county jail, and it's like my attorney's like, dude, you're screwed, dude. Like, they are coming at you hard, you know. Like, you're looking at like 6 to 8 years for sure, you know. And I just started like crying. I'm like, fuck, dude, you know, like 21 years old. I'm just like, dude,
my
like,
life's
how?
fucking
Yeah,
over.
I'm done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I just got out of jail. And like I said, like when I was in jail, I was just like, dude, like I do not fit in here. I have a good career. Like you know what I mean? I'm a crane operator. I have my Class 8 driver's license. Like I have a good family. Like,
Listen, nobody wakes up one day and thinks, you know what'll be fun? Going to rehab. But sometimes life gets messy, and the bravest thing that you can do is admit that you need a reset.
At Oak Forest Recovery, we're not here to judge. We've been there. We know what it's like. We've been scared. We've been alone, using comedy and jokes to cover it all up. The good news is you don't have to do it alone. We have the tools, we've got the community, and we even have good coffee.
If you or someone you love is struggling, come see us. Healing doesn't have to be boring. It can even be fun, and we're here to help.
I was just like, dude, I'm done, you know? Well, she ends up totally pulling through. Like she told the DA, was like, dude, I made up the story. I was drunk. And they're like, well, we're going to subpoena you. They try to pull like the fear tactics on her of like, you gave us a statement, like you're going down. We're going to arrest you for false statement. If you don't like this DA, I had beat in a DUI case. So I got pulled over. I kind of missed that one. So when I was 19 years old, I got pulled over. I was like just sitting out inside in front of my truck in Huntington at a house party, and the cops pull up, and I'm waiting for my brother to pick me up. Like I had it all logged. Like, dude, I'm like, my brother's coming to get me. They're like, no, you were driving. I'm like, dude, I'm sitting in my car he's coming right now to pick me up with 3 of my friends, but they didn't care. They're like, you were driving. Boom. We saw you park your car. And so I got arrested for DUI. I fought it for a year and a half. And like when it came time to the trial, 2 out of 3 cops, they didn't show up because they had belt sores. Like I didn't even know that was a thing to go to court. Belt sores from their police belt rubbing, you know, because they were just they lied. Like they're none of their stories lined up, and they would have had to go testify and lie in court because they, you know what I mean. So I beat this DA in a DUI case. So my attorney's like, bro, they are coming at you. They're not let off the gas. Well, dude, this chick like totally pulled through and was like I got you. You know what I mean? Was like, you know, and she just told him, was like, dude, if you subpoena me, and she's like, I'm just gonna leave the country. She's like, I got money. You know what I mean? I'm out of here. Like she straight up told him, was like, dude, so they were like, oh, we'll drop it to a misdemeanor. You still have to sign for the assault of deadly weapon, drop it to a misdemeanor. You're out today. I was like, sign it, dude. Let's go. That was it. Got sober. That was 21 years old. That was 2010. So I was sober and just like white knuckling it. I had there was a church in Huntington, His Place Church, that I went to. They had a meeting every Friday night, and it was just enough to get me through the weekend. I'll go to that meeting, and it was all a bunch of like the old school like skinheads from Huntington, that like guys that like I grew up, like the guys that I was running around with, they had already gotten, these were like the older guys, they had already gotten sober, but I had heard stories from the people I was hanging out about them, like, and I was like, dude, these guys are hard. Like, dude, if they got sober, like I could do it, you know? But I was too scared to like ask for help there and to like get a sponsor, because I was like also on a court card. So it was like, I was there getting a court card signed, and it was like, but I wanted to be sober. Like I was there to be sober, but it was like, I was like too ashamed. I've always kind of been like no like confrontation. Like I didn't want to like draw attention to myself of like, oh, here's my court card. Like, I don't know. It was just like a really weird thing with that court card. I didn't want to ask for help. I didn't want to draw attention to myself. I just went to that meeting once a week for 2 years, and it was just enough. It was every Friday. It was like enough to get me through the weekend, you know, never got a sponsor, never worked the steps. It like got me through, you know, through that time of being sober. I was working, advancing a lot in my grandpa's company, was like killing it, you know. started running cranes all the time. Like obviously like through 2 years of sobriety, like in being a kid, like you grow a lot, you know, like I was like super stoked working out, like doing really well. I started, you know, I bought my first Harley Davidson, like started riding and then bought another one. And then I got introduced to like doing like stunts on Harleys. I got into like, I found out that you could like wheelie them. I'm like, oh, this is dope. Like I started like seeing these videos on YouTube and I was like, I want to do that. Like I was just like an adrenaline junkie. I grew up like snowboarding, skateboarding, surfing, like everything. So I was like, cool, dude. Bought a Harley, started like got into like wheeling them and like doing stunts on them. And in like 2012 or that was 2012 to 2014. So in 2014, that was the time I was sober, 12 to 14. And so I was sober for 2 years, did great, started riding Harleys, and I went out of town in 2014 to up north. We like linked up with a bunch of guys from YouTube, and in Northern California, they were doing the same thing. So we were like, it's SoCal and they're the NorCal. So we went up there to link up with them and do wheelies and film some stuff. And I was just there and I wasn't working a program. And dude, like what started out as a joke of like, I used to always like crack them. Oh, nope, not going to do it. And like give my friends a beer, you know? And dude, I cracked it open, like slugged a beer. And that was just like, that was it, you know, like exactly on my 2 years, I chugged a beer. And then that night I was back out at the club with everyone. We went out to a club that night and I got pictured like just high on cocaine, just that fast, you know, snorting coke. And then for me, it just doesn't, it never stops there, you know, from 2014, to really like 2016, like my addiction was somewhat manageable. So by manageable, I mean like I was taking Xanax to manage like doing coke on the weekends, and I would only snort coke Monday to Friday and like party like normal. And then like on the weekend, if I went out and I got super fucked up, like I would come home and like I would maybe do like 1 or 2 shots and like just like shooting coke like on the weekends, you know, like that was like manageable for me, you know, because my life wasn't super spiraling out of control at the time, you know. And so from 2014 to like 2016, that like was what I was doing. And but I was like 2016 was when I got really bad again. It slowly like from that time period, like it started getting progressively worse and worse. And I started like shooting meth again, like 15 to 16, like started shooting meth again, like because I would stay up for so long on coke. They're like, oh, I'd have to do meth to like make it through another couple days. And then it just progressively like got worse and worse. In 2016, then I finally like, I was like, okay, I gotta get sober again. You know, like I ran out 2 roommates out of my apartment because I was just partying too hard. So I moved back into my mom's house and I like got sober, and then I would be strung out for 2 or 3 months and I would get sober. And then I was just bouncing back and forth and I just couldn't like really figure it out.
Right.
And then, in 2016 was when like I really like my addiction like progressively just like went way downhill. Like I just like went like got into like, this was the time that I like kind of like met Shay.
Okay.
And started like hanging out there, but it got like really bad. I was going to work, like I lost my job, didn't lose my job working, but I got downgraded. So like I had a customer call in on me that I was sleeping underneath the crane. So my boss was like, oh, I'll put you on like a single man crane, so that I was just by myself. But then I ended up, that was actually worse for me because then I was isolated. So I was going to work with like this little soft like lunchbox with like a little like 6-inch bong. And I'd have like 3 grams of crack rocked up, and I'd have like 3 syringes already loaded with coke in like a sunglass case. So I could just like drive around and like do drugs while I was at work by myself. And there's nobody around with me, you know?
Yeah.
And then finally, like, dude, my body was like shutting down, and I'd stayed up for so long and it was just so bad. I was using so much. I was like going through probably like 3 to 7 grams of coke a day. Like on
damn.
average,
Yeah.
dude, you know, and like at the time, like my best friend was like selling it. One of the times that I had gotten sober, I hooked him up like, and I was selling it, but I had hooked him up with my plug. And I was like, oh, like I'm getting sober, bro. Like you could take all my contacts, take my plug.
Right.
So I had hooked him up with that plug. And I'm like, dude, you know, but then like when I relapsed, so I was still getting like my Coke at like cost. So it wasn't
Right.
like that expensive, you know?
Right.
So I was at work, my body like was just shutting down. Like I passed out for like 14 hours and I was supposed to have like the crane back to the yard and I was just stuck. I pulled into like some like supermarket parking lot and I passed out and I brought the crane back to the yard like 14 hours later and I pull in the yard and like, yeah, just out, dude. It was like,
I've got to meet clients that have come, you know, through finding O Forest through my platform. And I think that's been one of the most special things. And then seeing them, I've seen people come in the beginning and then I've seen them, you know, at bonfire or after and seeing like the light come back in their eyes and what a great experience they're having. And this new, you know, community that they have now that could last for the rest of their lives and has set them up like for a successful recovery. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things.
Did you get caught when you went?
It was the middle of summer and like just passed out, woke up, drove back to the yard, pulling the yard and like everybody was there. My boss, everything. And then I didn't work for like 5 or 6 days. And I was like, dude, that's.
What was your excuse? What was your?
Yeah.
Did you just say like I was just?
Nobody said anything. They just stopped working me.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they stopped putting you on.
They were like,
So they
break.
just knew.
Yeah.
My boss knew because he had already gotten complained on.
Right.
Everybody, like all my coworkers were going in the yard, but my boss he worked like hand in hand with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So they had like history. So he was always like, his best friend was an alcoholic. So he was always trying to like protect people.
Yeah.
That was like
Right.
his get down. Like he was just like protecting people, you know?
Yeah.
So he never said anything. I just stopped working. I was like, okay, like after a week of not working, I was out at dinner and like my friend and his girlfriend were like, yeah, we're going to Thailand. Like you should cruise. I'm like, dude, I can go there and get sober, you know, perfect. Like, so I hit up my boss. I'm like, hey, like, you know, like I see what's going on. Like I gotta bail, dude. I gotta go to Thailand. Like I gotta go get sober. Like hopefully I still have a job when I come back, you know? He's like, oh, if, you know, I'll always hire you as long as you're the same guy that I hired when I first hired you, you know? And I was like, all right, right on, dude. So that was that. I bought a one-way plane ticket to Thailand. And before I went, I was like trying to hustle up as much money as I could. I had some dude that bought like, he was like, oh, I want 3 ounces of Coke. So I'm like, perfect, you know? And then all of a sudden he didn't have money for all of it. He only had money for 2.5. So I'm like, dude, so I got stuck with like 1/2 ounce of Coke, like 12 hours before my flight. And I don't even think that, maybe like 8 hours, you know, before my flight was supposed to leave. So I'm like sitting there trying to like, dude, go through it all, like smoke everything, dude. God, and dude. I was staying at my mom's house. So I left like the bong, like my crack bong on the nightstand, and there's a bunch of crack right there, dude. I hid like an 8-ball in my car, and I go to Thailand, pass out on the flight on the way to Thailand, and I wake up in Hong Kong, like 16-hour flight, didn't wake up once. I wake up, their whole airplane's empty. The same thing, like they couldn't wake me up. I was just out 16 hours straight, didn't eat one meal. They woke me up, all these little sticky notes like, hey, you missed your meal, let us know if you want one. I'm like, shit, dude. So I still do to this day, I put my cell phone like between my legs when I'm sitting down. And I got up and scrambled off the plane. I think I left my phone on the plane, scramble out. And rather than going to transfers, I went to like incoming flight or arrivals whatever, you know? So I didn't go to transfer flight, and I went to like arrivals, and then missed my connecting flight from Hong Kong to Thailand. So then I lose my 2 friends. And like the one thing my mom told my friends, like when she took us all to the airport, she's like, dude, do not lose David. Like she knew I was not in a good way. She's like, do not lose him, please. Well, he's like, had to call my mom, like, I lost David in Hong Kong. He's gone. Like he didn't make it on the next flight. You know what I mean? Like he's gone. So I got stuck there for 24 hours. Same thing. Like, dude, I just slept in the airport. Like I was like screwed up. And like, it was hard because it was very hard trying to talk to someone in English in Asia, you know, it's like, it's like, so
Did you get your phone back or no?
What's that? No.
Okay,
no. I went
gone.
to the phone's gone.
Okay.
So I had a laptop.
Okay.
Thank God.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to everyone through Facebook Messenger on my laptop. That's how I was like able to connect to people. So phone's gone, get a flight, land in Thailand. And I just like, right when I landed, like the first day I went out to the beach, like I was like blinking and I was like tripping out. And like, I had like this little like snake in my eye. Like it was like a black, like squiggle. I'm like, that's super weird. I thought it was just like, I thought it was just like, oh, like closer to the equator, like it's hot here, like maybe the sun's different, you know what I mean? No, I had like no idea. I didn't know what it was, you know? And I'm like, oh, that's so weird. So I go about my time hanging out in Thailand, you know, to my buddy and his girlfriend are there for 2 weeks. And then I convinced one of my other friends to come down, and he flies into Thailand to hang out with me. And it's progressively like getting worse and worse. I'm like, shit, dude, like it's getting like darker, you know? I'm like, oh, this is super weird. Like, I don't know. And so I stayed in Thailand, just kind of bouncing around for like a month and a half. The first 2 weeks I was there, I like really was sober. I wasn't drinking or anything. And my buddy flew in, and he was like single, like partier. And I started drinking. And then we caught a round trip flight from Thailand to Bali to Indonesia, and started partying there, came back, and my eye was so bad. I had a job lined up in Thailand. Like I planned to like go to Thailand 6 months out of the year because it's so cheap. I was just going to come home, work 6 months, and go there and work 6 months. I got a like job lined up. Like I fell in love with that place, you know?
Right.
And, but I had to like go home and fix my eye. So my eye just progressively got worse and worse over that month and a half, you know? And, in that time that I was there, when I had reached out to her on Facebook, my wife, and I was like, I saw that she was like on Facebook, it was like, oh, Shay's sober, you know, like 6 months sober. And I was like, there's no way. Like, no, like straight up. Like she like downplays, her and I both were like the people in Huntington where like, they're never going to get sober. Right. Like there's absolutely no chance. I didn't even believe it, dude. I was like, there's absolutely no way, you know? And I started seeing like her pictures on like she looked hot. I'm like, when I first met her in 2014, I was like, I didn't want anything to do with her. I was like, I would have never dated her. No, like for shit, like black hair. She was like 80 pounds. I was like, there's no way, dude. Like that's when she was in Huntington was when she was like shooting meth. Yeah. She wasn't like on opiates. She was like trying to like, she was doing meth to like try and not do opiates, you know? And, dude, I just remember being at her house, and, so it was, so I was in Thailand, come back, start hanging out with her, and
what happened to your eye?
I got to the doctor.
Okay, yeah.
So I got an infection. So I like thought it was a good idea to start shooting like before I went to Thailand. Like I was shooting like coke, and I was shooting in my neck because my veins got so bad. So I started shooting up in my neck. And the doctor thinks that like I got an infection in my eye, and when I got on the airplane, the altitude made it like rupture and made it like worse, you know?
Wow.
And so I come back, and I'm like, you know,
that's gnarly.
I was trying to be sober, hanging out with Shay, and just trying to like get sober. And I kept bouncing back and forth, you know? And at that time, like my criminal activity had gotten like really bad, and I just couldn't figure it out, you know? And so they were trying to give me like steroids for my eye. Finally, they had to drain it. There was so much pus had built up from the infection. They just like
in your eye.
I wasn't getting.
Did they have to take like a needle to your eyeball?
God, damn it, dude.
I wasn't getting sober. So they were giving me steroids and stuff, but I was still like using. So right. You know, and then, I was doing like really bad stuff, man. I started, got involved with the LA County sheriff, and was like, he was using and I was using, and it was like really bad. So I started doing like some really bad stuff with him. And, it got to a point where Shay was like, dude, like you have to like get sober. It's either me or or you can't, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're either going to choose me and her. And she was working at detox at the time. So the first 2 times, like she tried to get me to go detox, I just got like scared, like cold feet, and just shut my phone off and was like, oh, I was sleeping, you know, made every excuse. And then finally she was like, dude, like, and I had already built such a relationship with her daughter that I was just like, I wanted it. I just was scared to get sober. So that was the initial step. You know, I kind of clung on to her and was like, this is it, dude. I'm going to go get sober and I'm going to do it.
What caused you to choose to become a part of the Oak Forest team?
The first time we came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my family. These are my best friends now. And I immediately felt very drawn to the Oak Forest community. I think it's really beautiful, from just the bonfire meeting and people not even necessarily needing to go through Oak Forest to go to that. And then also knowing that they have this safe community, or if someone needs help, they can go through this program that has changed so many lives. I love that it's like a family and tribe, like you call it. From seeing how many people have gone through there and then decide to work at Oak Forest and help others and want to stay in that community because they love it so much, I think that's truly something I haven't seen anywhere else.
That was, I went to detox December 28th, 2016, and went up to rehab January 1st, worked at program, great program. Went to Serenity Lodge up in Lake Arrowhead. It was up in the mountains, tons of snow. Got everybody like rallied up. Like we had a really good program, like working out with all the kids and stuff, like, cause that was my passion, was working out, you know. Got everyone on program, and I came back and started my life here sober with her. You know, I did IOP, started working for an IOP, and then got back into crane work once my disability ran out from my eye. Started operating cranes again. And then it was just like a whole new me, you know. I just slowly but surely built my way up through the union while staying sober, you know, building our family. She got pregnant. I mean, definitely didn't go about things the way that they tell you to in AA, you know. Like I got out and we got engaged like a month and a half into my sobriety, and then we got married like 3 days later. Like,
3 days?
Yeah. We got engaged like February 10th, 5 days, I think.
Wait, can we get into this whole, I want to hear everything
and
about
then it's
this.
like, dude, and then so we were supposed to get married on like Valentine's Day. So I proposed to her, like, I think I had it time stamped on photos, you know, get like a $500 ring, proposed to her. She says yes. And then we're like, oh, we're getting married on Valentine's Day. It was like 5 days later or something, 4 days later. And we get in a big fight. I was so unhealthy, dude, huge fight. So we don't get married on Valentine's Day. And then the next day we make up. And then like the next day we just go down to the courthouse and we got married. And we had London. My stepdaughter was 5 years old. And like she signed our marriage certificate as our witness. Aww. It's like in like kid writing. She's 5. You know what I mean? Cute. And so we got married, and then, you know, then she got pregnant. So April was when she found out that she was pregnant. And then we had our first daughter in November 2017. And then, dude, we just built our life like from scratch. Like she had so much like stuff to pay for, like through drug court. So we were just paying that off. I was like $50,000 in debt, just credit cards. And dude, like I took out my IRA and didn't pay taxes on it. Like my pension or retirement, you know, and like didn't pay tax on it, all just stupid shit that you do strung out, you know? And we just like literally lived paycheck to paycheck for like 7 years, just like grinding. And like I did whatever I could for her to be like a stay-at-home mom, to like raise our kids. Went through like gnarly custody battle with her ex, like just through all this stuff. Like we just never left each other. We constantly like grew together, you know. In 2018, she invited us. We had a friend of ours that was inviting her to church, and she's like, hey, like my friend Jennifer's sober. Like we were going through like gnarly custody stuff. She's like, do you want to go to church? I'm like, sure. I never grew up in church. I didn't know. I just knew that I always kind of like believed in God. I'm like, sure. And like we started going to church, and like that was just one thing that like totally clicked. And I was like, oh my gosh, like got saved, ended up getting baptized, and that church was like our home. we were going to church like 2-3 times a week. That was like a huge part of our recovery. They had like a Monday night sobriety meeting, then they had Thursday night, and then Sunday day service. So like we kind of like lived at the church. I was working, just like grinding my way, trying to build my way up through like the crane work, you know. And slowly but surely through the years, we just kept putting one foot in front of the other and kept building our life together, paying stuff off, paid off all of our debt. Like it took forever though. We lived paycheck to paycheck for like 7 years, you know, and like I just did whatever I could to like for our family, like putting them first, and like, okay, like, dude, you know, like it didn't matter. Like I never said no. Like I would get called holidays, like Thanksgiving, like whatever it took to like provide. I just always did what I needed to do, you know? And finally, like we got to a point, we moved, we were living in Lake Forest at the time, kind of got stuck there during the crazy times of like COVID, you know? And I got like super complacent, and we always wanted to move back to Huntington. And in this last year, February of last year, I finally like was outside playing with my daughter. And I'm like, dude, like God like spoke to me. I was playing soccer with her, and she had no friends. Like my kids had no friends in Lake Forest. It was very quiet. It was a very old neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I was just like playing soccer with her, and just like, dude, my kids have no friends. Like, and we're stuck here. So I went inside, and I was like, hey, like we're moving, put in our 30 days. Like we're going to Huntington. She like started crying. She was like, because we had wanted to for so long, but I was so complacent. It was just so comfortable because our rent was like set, you know what I mean? And like knowing that I was going to move to Huntington was going to be like,
it's scary.
Through the roof.
Yeah.
And just really like kind of like trusted God on that one. I'm like, hey, we're moved to Huntington last February, and kept working. And then I took this summer off to spend time with my family, do like junior lifeguards, watch my kids do junior lifeguards, and just be there. Because I definitely made some like smarter, like financial investments, you know, that I was able to like take the whole summer off. And right when I was getting ready to go back to work, God just kind of was like putting like roadblock in front of me. Like one day, I told my boss, hey, I'm coming back. Like, you know, I'll be back Monday. I think this was like Thursday. And I told my daughter before school, and she was like a cartoon. Her eyes just filled up with water, and she just started bawling because she just had me for like all summer, you know? And I was like, oh, like, I'll give it another week, baby. I'll give it another week. I was like, dude, like I did this before school. I was like, what an idiot, dude. Like, what are you thinking, you know? And so that was like the first time. And then I was like, okay. So I called my boss, like, hey man, can I come back? He's like, dude, like I need something. I'm like, all right, man, like next week. And then same thing happened. I was like, hey, like I need another couple of days. Like, dude, are you just not ready? I'm like, no, I'm ready. Just give me another week. And then we had started a sober clothing company, my wife and I, you know, we were looking to like rebrand, and we went out to dinner with some friends of ours, you know, and a couple of days later, like right when I was getting ready to go back to work, he was like, hey man, like, why don't you like, dude, you love fitness and like helping people, like, bro, why don't you start online coaching and like become an online fitness coach? And I was like, all right, dude, like I see what you're doing, God. Like I just took that as like the third sign of like, okay, like he doesn't want me to go back to crane work, so I'm going to give this like my everything. So I decided at the end of summer, really it was like October, like November, to go all in on myself and like really kind of focus on online training. So I'm trying to coach people, or not trying, I am coaching people online, one-on-one personal coach, like helping them dial in their macros. We were talking about it earlier.
We were talking about macros, whatever that means.
Yeah. Whatever those are. And, you know, like designing like workout plans and just trying to help people like really like get locked in and like get their life back, you know? And it's been really cool because fitness and sobriety kind of go hand in hand. So while doing that, like you're also like preaching sobriety, and like, well, because obviously like when you're drinking, your body treats alcohol as a toxin. So it doesn't, you're not building muscle. You're not, you know, so you're like telling people this, like, hey, like if you're investing all this money into me to be your coach, you want to get your maximum results. You know what I mean? Like you want to like, so it's like, you know, like you got to put down the drinking, you know, and put down the drink. So it kind of like ties hand in hand, you know. And then my wife also is like trying to get her certs again for drug and alcohol counselor. So our goal is to like possibly get into like sober coaching, you know, to where she could do like group like sessions, like therapy sessions, and then I could do like the workout side. So that's kind of like where our heart's at
just
now.
go like this together.
Yeah. And then we also like rebranded our sober clothing company more into like a faith. God was like really putting on our heart, like we were going to do it anyways, like go more like faith-based, like 50-50. We were like full like sobriety, like putting out a bunch of like sober designs on our clothing, but like God was like kind of putting on our heart, like, hey, go 50-50, you know?
Right.
So we rebranded into Chosen Society as our new clothing company, and we partnered up with our best friends on that. So that's been a lot of fun too. So
I love that.
That's kind of like our life now is just like,
what was it before?
it was Reborn Apparel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Both sick names.
Yeah.
I like Chosen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was cool. It just, we were definitely like, we're really like feeling God pulling us like more towards like the faith side of things, you know? So that's kind of why we went and we like wanted to rebrand. We wanted to do like higher quality shirts, like sweatshirts. Like we wanted to like up the quality and like really like focus on the designs and have like cleaner, like more like subtle designs, you know? Like, so yeah, that's kind of our life now is like, we're just both trying to navigate through this new adventure in life of like, you know, like obviously we talked like trying to post like content not
great
easy
stuff
at all.
Yeah.
Like I got like my blooper reels are probably the best content that I got going right now.
Yeah,
you know?
Post them.
Yeah.
Post them.
Yeah. So it's like the whole content side of things is, you know, new, and it's like trying to navigate everything and do that. So that's kind of where we're at now.
It's great.
How can people find you? Do you have a website or is it Instagram? What?
Yeah,
is
I
the
mean,
best way?
Instagram's probably the best way, and then I got a link on there. I don't even know. I do have a website. It's just for like scheduling appointment times.
Okay.
I know what it is, Mr. Thomas Fit or David Thomas Fit or something.
Okay.
DavidThomasFit.com.
Yeah.
But everything Mr._David Thomas is my Instagram, and then the link's in the bio.
Okay.
Rad.
But
Let's get you some new clients, guys. It's a new
Yeah.
year.
Fuck
New
yeah.
year, new me.
Yeah.
Lock in.
And so you're a certified fitness coach?
certified personal trainer.
Got it.
So I went through and I did all my courses, certified personal trainer, nutritionist with a specialty in like strength and conditioning and bodybuilding.
Right.
So I did all my classes this summer. It's just like a passion, but it was cool.
Yeah.
It's just like a lot of it was stuff that I already knew. And like, there's a lot of like really technical stuff that I didn't know. And I'm like, wow, I've been stretching wrong the whole time. I'm doing static stretches before leg day. And they're like, no, that's how you get hurt. It's like, yeah, good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know what you're talking about.
Just
He
like
was
refined.
going on for a little bit before here. And
Yeah.
I was just saying there's like so much that goes on in all of this. So
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot
Everybody
to
go
fitness
find
for
them.
sure.
That's rad, man. Great story.
Yeah. Thank you.
yeah, thanks so much for coming out.
Congrats to
Yeah,
both you
thanks
guys
for having us.
honestly.
Yeah.
Rad life.
Yeah. Shades over there.
Yeah. Really
Yay.
fucking cool, man.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
God sent her to save me. So
Oh,
It's amazing.
that's, dude,
Stop.
I
You guys are
had
so
no
cute.
business. No, I had no business having her. Like she should have ran for the hills, dude. I don't even know what she was thinking.
Yeah.
She put her whole life on the line to help me. So
It's amazing.
God's plan.
I put her in
It's cool.
bad situation a couple of times with her PO. So, but we're here. God's got her
Amazing.
back.
You guys.
who was
it's
it?
incredible.
David Jones.
Yeah.
David Jones.
David
Dude,
Jones.
her look on her face when she saw me with my PO, she was like, "What are you doing in here?" And then
Yeah.
she was livid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I bet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, we won that battle.
That's rad.
It's over now. Let everything happen how it's supposed
I
to.
did go to her retirement. For my
Oh,
POs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And I'm
dope.
really close with my Judge Anderson.
I love
That's
that.
rad.
A
So-
full
It all
circle.
worked out. It all worked out.
It does. It did.
Well,
All
thanks for
right.
coming on, man.
No, thank you. Thanks
Yeah.
for having me.